Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Genuine APBT. On today's episode, I wanted to give you all another update on Coco, my 15-year-old Wallace Hemphill Sirona dog, and let you see how she's doing. She's actually doing better, even better than the second update, which is pretty amazing to me. It led me to want to make this video on longevity. How can you get your American Pitbull Terrier or game bred Pitbull to last 15 years? Well, there's no guarantee. I cannot sit here and tell you that if you implement what I'm telling you, your dog's going to last 15 years. That's not true. But what I am telling you is if these things are in your dog and you implement these things in your dog, you have a higher possibility of having a dog that will live a long, fruitful life. The first thing is very, very selective breeding. And what I mean by that is if you can hands-on see the dogs, if you've raised the dogs that you are going to breed and you've planned the breedings ahead of time. They're not accidental breedings. They're not just breedings because you happen to have the dogs in your yard and you think they're just going to be great because the pedigrees will match up. Well, you can do that. And I'm not trying to say that there's something wrong with that, but the video is about longevity. The video is about taking it to a higher level than just your standard breeding. And if you want longevity in your dogs, along with health and intelligence and temperament and a bunch of other stuff, then you have to be very careful with the breeding. But as far as longevity, that's one of the first things. Whatever the genetic makeup is on the dogs, it'll be great because you did your job and your homework as far as your breeding and your program and how you were going to implement which dogs with other dogs. The practical side of this, or what you can practice, because you can't change the genetic makeup once the breeding takes place. On your end, on the practical end, is one, you want to feed them the best food possible. What I mean by that is, yes, if you can't feed them raw feeding because it is a little more expensive than the highest quality kibble, then that's fine. I'm not trying to burden you with anything, but if you can feed them the best that you can possibly afford. Don't settle for cheap stuff if you can afford better. It's up to you to run the numbers and check that out. So feed them the best. What I would recommend, if you can, is raw feeding. Raw feeding chicken with the skin, with the bones, the liver, the gizzards, beef liver. You can give them pork. You can give them beef. But you want to try to raw feed your dog. It is much better than kibble. And the second thing you want to do is you definitely want to work your dog. These dogs thrive on working out. And what I mean by that is working them, seriously getting out and working them. What I like to do with all my dogs is I like to run them. I like to run them myself. It's great if you have a treadmill. Nothing against guys that have a treadmill, but treadmills, they're basically running in place and they're just moving their legs according to the speed of the ground that's moving underneath them. They're not really moving their weight. And you build different muscles, and I think the dog gets in fact, I know the dog gets a much better workout if the dog free runs, where he's actually or she's actually putting in the running part of everything. Run your dog. I love running them, and I love implementing the flirt pole because it keeps the heart rate up. It's a high intensity workout. And if these are the only two exercises that you were to choose or that I had to choose, I would choose them. The spring pull's all actually good too. Some dogs might not like the spring pull, but most American Pit Bull Terriers will like the flirt pull because they should have a high prey drive. The spring pull doesn't produce the prey drive or the drive that the spring pull would, just because the movement is different. It's just sitting there, it's static, and it's not moving around and kind of looks like maybe some prey. So I would definitely work them out. You need to work the dogs out. Another thing that I would say, and I know this might upset some of you guys, but you know what? I don't care because these videos aren't for the people. They're for the dogs. And so whether it hurts your feelings or not, and by the way, if your feelings get hurt easily or you get mad easily, I'm talking to my community, man. I'm talking to the Pitbull guys. Then you know what? It's kind of funny because I grew up with the guys that own these dogs that they really didn't care what other people said. They really didn't. They weren't there to impress other men. They wanted to do the best by their dogs, and that's it. They wanted the best for their yard. So I don't know. It seems like our community just has a lot of people that are acting strange. You know, they're very sensitive. They're very delicate to what people leave in comments or what people say. But anyways, what's going to upset you is that if you have them on a chain spot and that the dog lives on the chain most of his life and he's never off the chain, or he very, very rarely, chances are the dog's not going to last long because he's just stuck on the chain. You're not working him out in a sense of taking him out and really using the dog for what these dogs were meant to be. They're not meant to just put them on a chain and have them on a chain spot their entire life with very little exercise. So that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about, guys. Really brief video so you can get an update on Coco and then talk about those things, those practical things. Feed him well, exercise him well, and get him off the chains once in a while. That's it. Thank you for watching. And remember, know them, love them, and raise them responsibly.